Hello and welcome to Yes, You Are Brave. This is a podcast where we are going to set off on a journey together to find and build our brave, where we explore all the ways that you have been brave and all the ways that you can be brave again. Because even though we may have forgotten or we may have fallen out of practice, we're all brave. And I'm on a mission to prove it and help you believe that yes, you are brave. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Yes, You Are Brave. I'm Pawnee, I'm your host. Super excited you are here. Really excited to talk to you today about resistance. I know it sounds a little strange, but let's jump in and see what happens when we are brave enough to explore our resistance instead of just try to brute force past it. So I've been thinking a lot about this because honestly in my life I've had some crazy serious resistance come up over several different things. And it's been very, very interesting to see how I am handling this resistance, to see how I am reacting to what is coming up. And it's been very, very enlightening, and to maybe try to do things in a little bit different way. So I'm going to be honest, the way that I feel like I have traditionally or historically in my life handled resistance was just to quite simply push past it, right? It wasn't about anything delicate or anything like that. It was just simple brute force, push past, because that's what you do. And I'm not going to say that there's not times and places for simple brute force past resistance. But, so that's one way that I've handled resistance in my life, is just this brute force, right? And the other way that I've handled it in my life in the past has been to bump up against the resistance and bounce off of it for a little while and then decide it wasn't worth it and then turn around and go the other direction. So basically running away. And, I was thinking today, are these the only two ways to handle resistance? That can't be right. And so as I've been exploring this a little bit more lately, I've had last week an opportunity make itself available to me and that I am choosing to take. And there has been a ton of resistance for a lot of different reasons. And it's been interesting as I have looked at it and said, why? Because this is the third option that for a long time I didn't realize was there. I didn't realize that there was an option of, wait a minute, I don't have to just brute force it. I don't have to just push and feel like I'm killing myself to get past this resistance. There's another way. So today, let's talk a little bit about that other way, that way of exploring the resistance. What is this resistance trying to tell us? Where is it coming from? And how can we more gracefully and more effectively work our way through this resistance by exploration? So I think we just start by being curious. When we come up against resistance, I know at least my first impact or my first impulse is to either push right through or to run away, right? We think, I just got to force my way through, or I'm just going to turn around and run. And what is curious, maybe we start asking questions like, why do I feel this way? Why is this resistance coming up? What is it that I'm actually feeling resistant towards? And it's not always the answer that you think it's going to be. It's not always as cut and dry as it seems like it should be. I've been exploring people's resistance to different things this week as I've talked with other people, and we're talking through some of these things, and somebody said, I just don't understand why I feel this way. There's no logical reason for it to be this way. And that's the kicker right there, is there's A lot of times our resistance isn't necessarily logical. There is no logical explanation. There's no reason that makes logical sense. There's no, because a lot of it is based in emotion, and it's based in like, oh, there's this experience tied to this thing that makes me not want to do this other thing. And if we stop and we start exploring and we say, why is this coming up? Perhaps there is somebody in your life that used to do things that particular way or used to do this particular thing, and they're a person that you don't necessarily want to be like. And there's such a close association with that thing and that person and that dislike that you just automatically don't want to go there. There's so many things that I think we can learn from our resistance. And it's interesting to finally be in a place where I can feel like, wait a minute, this is a learning opportunity. This isn't just a wall that I'm hitting. It's more like it's this big hedge. You know, in like the movies where there's the big maze, there's the big like in Alice in Wonderland, there's like the big maze of all of the hedges and things like that. Or and it's more like that. It's not necessarily a wall. It's not solid brick. And it's not something that we just run into and we can't get through. It's something that we can get through. You can get through hedges. But I think that one of the reasons we need to be more curious and we need to ask questions and we need to spend a little bit of time exploring that. Because if we run into a hedge, right? If we just try to brute force it, we can brute force it through a hedge. You can push your way through a hedge. You can keep pushing through and pushing and pushing and pushing, and you're eventually going to get to another place where there's open space. And you think, oh, see, I pushed past my resistance. But if we think about it as if we're in a maze, we didn't really push through the resistance, all of it. We pushed through one little piece of it. We pushed through the resistance that was there that day, that time, or maybe that week, and we pushed through it until we found a little path, until we found an open space. And then we're like, oh yeah, see, I pushed through, we're good. And then guess what? Because we didn't make it all the way through the maze, we then hit another wall. And then we have to brute force it again. And if we just keep trying to brute force it through all of these maze walls, we're never going to get through, because eventually we run out of fight. We run out of push. We run out of that brute force that we've been using to push through. We run out. Because we're only human and we can only do those type of things for so long. We can only push so hard for so long, and then we're done. Our energy is gone, our strength is spent, and we have to find another way. So then we sit there at yet another wall of this hedge, and we just don't have the ability, we don't have the energy, we don't have the motivation, we don't have anything to keep pushing through that. Because eventually we will run out of fight for something like that. And the thing about it is a fight. Okay, there's always a fight. Just because it's a fight nobody else can see does not mean there is not a fight going on inside you. Does not mean that it is not physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically exhausting to make yourself stay in that fight. Don't shortchange it. Don't minimize that fight just because it's a fight nobody else can see. But if we keep trying to brute force our way through our resistance, we're eventually going to hit a wall that we just can't keep pushing through. Now, again, looking at this as a hedge, a maze, a big, huge maze with like the hedges and all of those type of things. Well, there's a path through a maze. And sometimes we hit a dead end. We go along, we think we're going great, and we hit a dead end. There's nowhere else to go in that particular thing. Then we know, guess what? This path doesn't take me where I want to go, and so we take another one. We turn around and we backtrack maybe. Maybe we go back to that junction and we take a left instead of a right. And we explore and we find a way through this maze of resistance that is not nearly as draining, not nearly as physically difficult or emotionally, mentally difficult as just trying to brute force it. There's a little bit more finesse. There's a little less push. There's a little more ease to it. And now I know a lot of you are going to say, but it can't be easy. We're very, very dedicated to things being hard. Something that I learned last summer from Kathy Heller, that we are just so dedicated to our things being hard and our limitations, and we don't have to be. Finding our way through this resistance, as thinking of it as like a maze or even a labyrinth, all of these different ways and stuff, there's a path through. It just takes a little bit to find. It takes a little bit of exploring. It takes some curiosity. It takes some stick-to-itness. But we can find a path through that. We can find a way to address these things as they come up. Now, I'm not saying that it's easy, necessarily. Like I said, the resistance from the last week has been so much. And one day I'm flying high because I'm running down this way. oh yes, we're going to get this. We're going to do it. And then it's like I hit that wall. I hit a dead end in the maze or in the labyrinth. And I've got to turn around and maybe backtrack a little bit and see, okay, why didn't this work? Oh, it didn't work because back here I should have taken this other turn. This was a dead end. And so now I can get back on the path. And yes, maybe this metaphor is oversimplified, because a lot of the times in real life, our resistance, it's not just a wall that we come up against and we can't get through, like physically. We come up against something that for some reason we think a certain way. And if we can take a few minutes and we can figure out, why do I think this way? Why do I think that this is supposed to be hard? Why do I think that I should be feeling guilty here? Why do I feel like I can't spend money to better myself and my situation? Why do I feel like it's not okay for me to be seen? What is my brain trying to protect me from? Because remember, your brain's main function is to keep you alive. It's not to help you reach your goals, help you reach your dreams. It's to keep you alive. That's it. And your brain doesn't necessarily know the difference between new and it's new and gonna kill me, and new and just scary because it's new. You have to do some exploring. And sometimes I think that exploring is for us to tell our brain, see, it's not going to kill us. It's just new and a little bit different. It's not necessarily dangerous. It's scary because it's new and we don't know exactly how to navigate this, but it's not going to kill us. In resistance, when we come up against this resistance, it's just your brain trying to keep you alive. Based on the experiences that you have had in your lifetime, it is your brain trying to keep you alive. So maybe we need to say thank you. Hey, thanks, brain, for letting me know that there could be a potential problem up here. Let's take a minute and let's explore and let's see if this, what seems like a problem, is actually a problem, or if it's not. There's no point in borrowing worry, right? So take some time. Ask the questions. What is this bringing up for me? What is my resistance trying to teach me? What do I need to learn from this so that I can move forward? Because if I just turn around and run, eventually something else is going to present itself. I'm going to want to do something else, and I'm going to hit a wall of resistance, and likely a lot of these things are going to be very much the same. The root causes of those are going to be the same. And I know that seems out there and crazy, but I can tell you from personal experience that about half of my resistance comes from like a single struggle, a single idea of not being enough, of not being worthy, of being seen. That's where a lot of my struggles, my resistance comes from. And I won't get into it here, but I know I have worked back through my life and figured out where that comes from and why that came up. And I would love to say that I'm all the way through it yet, but I'm not. But I at least am aware of where that comes from. That when that particular type of resistance comes up, those are some of the reassurances that I need around not feeling like I'm enough and not feeling like I deserve to be seen. Now, there's other kinds of resistance that comes up, and I have no idea what your resistance is going to be. I can promise you, though, that you will have resistance, and it will be tough, and it will be hard, and it's gonna take some work to get through. But what kind of work is it going to be? That's totally up to you. Is it going to be the work of running at a brick wall a couple of times and deciding, no, I can't do this, and turning around and going away? And then not being satisfied with your life. That's one way to handle resistance. It's not a fun way. It's not the way I would recommend. And you have to ask yourself, what is this really costing me? So that's one way to deal with resistance. Or you can just start, okay, I'm going to start chopping my way through this hedge. Who cares if I only have this measly little tiny axe? I'm going to start chopping my way through, and I'm just going to brute force it through there. I'm just going to push and push and push. And eventually you're going to run out of push. You're going to run out of fight. Because there's going to be wall after wall after wall, and you're going to feel like you're never going to get through. That's another way to handle it. I also don't really recommend that way from lots and lots of experience. So what I'm asking you this week is to be brave. And when the resistance comes up in your life, wherever it comes up, take a minute and sit with it. Explore it a little bit. What's coming up? Where does this come from? Why am I feeling this way? Sometimes all you really need to do is just acknowledge it. Sometimes there are simple things you can do on your end that can resolve it enough so that you can start taking steps forward. Because it very well may be that resistance comes from your relationship of sorts, the way that your relationship is with a certain important person in your life, and it has colored the way that you see the world, or caused a reaction in you that you don't love. And maybe you can't resolve it completely with them, but you can do some work on yourself, and you can resolve it enough. You can listen to that. You can work through it enough to start taking little baby steps to get to the other side. You can start, okay, instead of just running through walls, chopping things down, I'm going to try to find the path. Because if I explore enough, if I ask enough questions, there's going to be doors that open. There's going to be a door, and then there's going to be an opening here, and then I'm going to go down some things that are a little bit wrong, but eventually I'm going to find my way through. If we're willing to put forth that effort, then we are going to find our resistance can be a teacher in our life. And our resistance can help us not just learn about ourselves, but become a better version of ourselves and figure things out in a way that we can leave behind what we don't need to take with us. Because I truly believe that our baggage in life doesn't have to be everything that's ever come across our path. We don't have to pick up every little thing and put it in our bag and keep adding more and more and more bags. No, we get to be intentional about what goes in our bag and how long it stays there. Something is no longer useful, is no longer needed. We can take it out of our bag and we can leave it. It doesn't have to come on the rest of the trip with us. And our resistance can be a teacher if we'll let it. We just have to be brave enough to explore that resistance and see what it has to teach us. And you, my friend, you are brave enough. You are brave enough to explore that resistance. You are brave enough to look inside and see what's really going on. You are brave enough. You are. You can be brave enough to do that. And you are worth the effort. You are worth the effort of exploring that resistance, of learning from it, of letting it be a teacher. You are worth the effort because you are wonderful and you are amazing and you have so much to give this world, and the world needs you and your gifts so, so very much. We need you here because you make the world a better and brighter place by being in it. So please know that you are worth the effort. Know that you are wonderful and you are loved. And you are brave enough to explore the resistance. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed what you've heard today, please leave a review down below and share this with anyone that you feel like could use a little more brave in their life. And if you'd like to follow more of my journey to be brave, you can follow me on social media and link down below. Have a fantastic day and don't forget to be brave.